But I do think that they mask a lot of policy and white supremacy. And I want to switch gears here and shift us to something that I wanted to talk about. And that is in your neck of the woods, Bakari, and in your neck of the woods, Andrew, there is a state law trying to be introduced. But in order for us to talk about that, I want to take us back to last year. We were in Philadelphia and did a show leading up to the election. And we had a wonderful question asked from a young man there who's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated and stood up and asked this question. Take a listen.
Say your name and where you're from, please.
Hi, my name is Sean Leon. I'm a junior here at Temple University as a African American man that have a disability. I was told by a white teacher that college was not for me. Here I am in college with a high GPA. But what I don't understand, we talk about the black vote, the black woman vote, the black LGBTQIA vote. What is amazing, we talk about all that, but we don't talk about the black disabled vote, and people like myself are tired of being treated as second-class citizens. So if y'all can just talk about what we need to do as a community to uplift the black disabled vote as well, so that more people like myself can be a success story.
So we got a lot of response from that question, and I just shout out to him for standing up and asking and challenging us to talk more about that. And so ever since then, every week I've wanted to revisit that topic. But again, during the Trump administration, it's like trying to catch confetti covering all the travesty. So while we had time to do it, I just wanted to follow up with that since there's a story in the news this week that speaks directly to it. But first, Black people with disability are more likely to spend outside of regular classrooms. Students are typically kicked out of classrooms. They're more likely to be placed in correctional facilities and less likely to have completed high school. And so he bucks all those trends. There are more than 3.6 million Black adults who have a disability here in America. And students with these disabilities, as you see, are disproportionately discriminated against. And the ADA, the American with Disabilities Act, passed in 1990, and that, just like every other civil right in this country, passed because of the work of Black people. It was born out of the civil rights movement. People stayed sit-ins, literally just copied the civil rights movement to get it. And there's intersectionality, of course, as we know, with Black folks in every underclass community, but certainly with Black folks in the American Disabilities Act. Why are we talking about this? It is because
where are you going with this?
Yes, if I can be permitted to
well, she's clearly not reading your comments inside the chat.
Well, why this matters on a serious note is because there is an effort underway in several red states, including yours, Bakari, and yours, Andrew, to allow pregnant women to use handicapped parking spaces. And that sounds like a noble enough gesture. However, this is not what it appears to be. This is an initiative from right-wing extremists. I think we have to stop calling them conservatives, right-wing extremists, to encourage more women to have children. So a typical tactic of right-wing extremists is to pit one group against the other. And so there are communities, including in South Carolina and in Florida, who are filing a lawsuit to stop this. So instead of saying, let's provide parking for pregnant women, they're saying, we're going to take away these parking spots and make them accessible to pregnant women. Now, this is in direct violation of the American Disabilities Act, and pregnancy is not qualified as a disability. And nobody's saying that pregnant women should not be able to have these parking spaces, but there is a huge groundswell. And so because that gentleman so bravely asked that question, this is precisely the intersection of people who are Black and who have disabilities, who are voters, and where policy butts up right against them. There was a testimony from a woman in Tallahassee, Andrew, who was one of the outspoken opponents of this bill. But this is a state law happening all across country, and I don't want people to hear it and think, oh, this isn't a bad thing. No, this is coming from white men, right-wing extremists, masking this in policy, and it's rooted in turning America into Gilead. And I thought this was something really important to raise to the viewers. But I get it's not of interest to you, Bakari, so I just wanted to make that point.
No, I was letting you finish, but I wanted to say one thing. I had to clarify one point. Yes. If you are pregnant, yes, you do qualify for short-term disability. That's first.
Yes. Thank you for that.
And after you give birth, there are a few weeks in which you qualify for short-term disability. The reason I bring that up, just as a clarification to your point, is the people who don't take advantage of that short-term disability often enough,
pregnant women
that are Black. Right?
Black.
Yes. So I do want to, and your point is so nuanced that I'm going to sit my ignorant butt down on the side. But I did want to make sure that I did articulate the fact that, yes, pregnant women do qualify as being disabled. I think they should take advantage of it. And I think that those pregnant women should get parking spots. But that's about as far as I'm going on that.
Many private businesses that I've seen actually create parking spots for women who are pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not everywhere.
They have disabilities.
Can I tell y'all, can I confess something to y'all real quick? Can I confess something to y'all one time? So, like,
if you tell me you park.
No, it's worse than that.
What?
So, like, I had to get on a Zoom one day. And so I was in the Fort Lauderdale airport. And I downloaded the app so I could go in and use the
stop it.
The breastfeeding, the little pod.
Just stop it.
So that I can
think of the women who needed to feed their child.
Man, I'm so couldn't. But Andrew, I've been carrying that burden. I've been carrying that burden with
free
me.
You didn't need to upload it here, brother. You didn't need to free it here.
That might have been the reason I had to wait in line with y'all before they get into heaven. So I'm just happy I left that.
You're going straight to hell.
Man, I downloaded that app so quick. They were like, "Where are you for your Zoom?" And I sat in there and logged in. They were like, "You got a beautiful background." It was all Scott. Anyway, y'all go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you for pointing out the short-term disability, because I did want to just make that quick point. That is a part of the lawsuit that they're saying pregnant women can apply for a parking pass for a short-term disability. So thank you for pointing that out.
Well, let me tell you, my wife couldn't get nowhere carrying them two babies with her feet the way they were in those last couple of weeks. But I will say this. What you want us to do is to look at this from, I think, the view of how we expand.
Right. You don't have to pit pregnant women against disabled people. Yeah.
Absolutely. Then pit certain communities against other communities. Notwithstanding the correction, the important legal correction that you made, Bakari, this again is, first of all, bless the woman who wants to have a child now to get a closer parking spot, because they're going to have to try harder on the incentive side. But I definitely know that is part of the right-wing extreme agenda. This, they're obsessed by the replacement theory, and they are terrified by the low birth rates of white women. So surely, they go down that track, but I think we want to see this through the lens of expansion rather than, contraction of support for people who need it when they need it.
Correct.
And what we're doing and what we're seeing in many of these states is the pitting against, which is, again, what they do.
Well, and especially when you think about things from a scarcity model, I think it's really important, and I'm grateful that you brought up, Andrew, the idea that, or Bakari, whichever one of you guys both look the same.
We're the same.
All Black people look the same. But talked about the fact that Black women very rarely take advantage of this benefit, if we can call it that. But when I think about all the work that Kamala Harris and Lauren Underwood and other Black women did in Congress, are really trying to make sure that we bring Black maternal health to the forefront, and the many ways in which our humanity is not seen carrying children in this country, in part because we did it for labor. That is the history of this country. What I don't want to do is dehumanize us even more when we do need this type of support. So one thing that I think is important, and just for a moment, because I think it would behoove us not to miss something that has been on the radar, talking about Black pregnant women. There was a woman in Dallas, there was a woman in Indiana who both were kicked out of hospitals just recently. And I want to play the clip of the woman in Dallas who is clearly in a disabled position. And as she is going through intake, which she should have not had to do while she was in active labor, she's sitting in a wheelchair, definitely in a disabled position. Can we roll that clip?
When's your due date?
Right now.
Is your due date 11?
What?
How many times have you been pregnant?
3.
This is your 3rd pregnancy?
Yes.
You have 2 babies
It's
at
in my
home?
ass.
You have 2 babies at home? Who's your doctor?
Lang is her doctor. Y'all treat all your patients like this or just the black ones?
Beverly, this is the first time I have a patient for you. Alright, last name is Jones. She's G3P2. I'm not sure when her due date is.
Her due
I
date is
just
the
said
10th.
it was the 10th.
I think her due date is the 10th.
She got 3 pregnancies, 2 babies at home.
2
I bet y'all listen next time. When you found out you was delivering at this hospital, your ass should have changed doctors. Everybody say how they treat people here.
Unbelievable. But believable.
I think my story is kind of well known. You know, Ellen almost died during childbirth, so I don't even want to go down that path. In fact, my number one political issue is African American female mortality, because that happens more than people know.
Of course.
That's
And
right.
the reason being is because of our implicit bias we have in our healthcare delivery system. And people are like, what does that mean? If any person asks you, does racism still exist? The number one example is it exists when Black women are giving childbirth, because it crosses over socioeconomic levels. It doesn't matter if you're on Medicaid. It doesn't matter if you are Serena Williams or Ellen Sellers. It can affect you equally, right? And it's because in their studies that people inherently believe that Black women have a higher pain tolerance, or that they're more likely to fake the pain that they're going through.
That's right.
But Andrew, this is the point that I wanted to make by laying that out. This is why Black men have a very,
Absolutely.
very, very important role in a woman's pregnancy and childbirth. Because
Thanks, Charles Johnson.
many times in that room, you have to be your partner's number one advocate. Because oftentimes those individuals cannot speak up for themselves because they're going through that process. And unless you were there yelling and screaming, kicking and shouting, cursing, threatening lawsuits, call the police, doing everything necessary to protect the life of the woman you love and them little people you ain't even met yet, then sometimes, and too often, more often than not, those Black women will die.
And Bakari, I was listening to a NPR story the other day, really right down these lines. One of the most effective ways of getting medical staff's attention during your partner's pregnancy and delivery is for a husband to be the advocate, with one exception: husbands of color.
That's because they want to take your ass to jail. Yes.
Who oftentimes call security. Security is then escorting the husband every single place he goes. The message goes out through the hospital staff that this is a problem man. And I mean, in the story I was listening to, this he was of Latino descent, father was arrested while his wife gave birth, complained about the pain that she was experiencing, and nearly died, right? I said during your comments, Bakari, thanks Charles Johnson,
Yes.
who is the husband to Kira, and they have an organization. He has a foundation, what is it? For Kira for Life, I believe it is. For Kira for Moms.
And
For
he's
Kira
been a guest
for
on our
Moms.
show.
He's been a guest on our show, but Charles Johnson, an incredible advocate for just the most unspeakable tragedy. His wife bled internally after a C-section for 10 straight hours, right? She's saying something is not right. Something's not right with me. And dismissed, again, her pain, not perceived as real pain, being manufactured of some sort. And then a life cut short, a child who won't have his mom, a husband who has lost his wife, all of it 100% preventable, right? So I couldn't agree with you more that husbands have to be there, but we have to systematically demand better. There is no reason for Black mortality rates to be at the level that they are and for us to still be scrutinizing individual cases when we know that that is only the case because of systematic, racist, not just policies, but practices and in practice in hospitals and in healthcare systems all throughout the country, everywhere.
And laws have to change. I think the important thing here is, I know we have to wrap, is that we don't keep pitting different groups against each other. Pregnant women, Black, white, Asian, whatever, deserve to have access that is easy, deserve to have a life that isn't making their pregnancies harder. Native Land Pod is a production of iHeartRadio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.